Welcome back, sports fans, to another EverydaySportsFans.com video. Today, we're going to be talking about whether the University of Washington and Chris Peterson have gone to war with ESPN and the media-like establishments. I was away watching a football game this weekend, so I wasn't able to watch this game, so I didn't know about the drama until I returned home. And I read this article by Adam Jude in the Seattle Times that I'll have linked below in the description, trying to make sense of ESPN's spat with Chris Peterson. So if you're like me and you didn't really know this story until today or yesterday, apparently Chris Peterson last week made some comments and he called the late night games just painful, and he apologized to the fans for the late starts and pretty much reiterated that it's not him and it's not the University of Washington's administration or athletic department. It is ESPN and the Pac-12 forcing them to play these late games that apparently the players and Chris Peterson are not big fans of. Now, ESPN, being the conglomerate that it is, backed by Disney and has all this money just to throw around unless they're firing staff, did not take it very well and kind of came out punching a person I really respect in college football, his analysts and everything. I even picked him for why I think they should have him in the draft, Kirk Herbstreit, and I've quoted his comments before, like in the Texas video. I really respect Kirk Herbstreit's opinion. However, this time I think he might be wrong. So I kind of want you guys to, in the comment section below, politely discuss your guys' opinions on this matter as well. But Kirk Herbstreit on College Game Day pretty much said that Chris Peterson should be thankful and pretty much just grateful that ESPN is using their ability to broadcast them. And it doesn't matter about the kickoff because statistics prove that more people in the Pac-12's ratings are like 13% up when they play this Pac-12 After Dark thing that ESPN and Fox Sports, I think, have been pushing the last 2 or 3 years. And obviously, being a winning team, they're going to want to pick your games to be on it, which is where Chris Peterson falls in this. And he is not a big fan of this. And the ESPN staff didn't exactly let their feelings go unknown. It wasn't just Kirk Herbstreit with his comments. The actual people broadcasting the game in like the late fourth quarter, because I rewatched the entire game today so I could get an idea of what exactly this whole spat was. Apparently, Coach Peterson did not meet with them for their media obligations to discuss his team and stuff. But apparently, he does this a lot, and he's done this back to his Boise State days, where he actually offers a phone call interview with them, but doesn't meet them in person just for whatever reason, coaching, I don't know. I don't really care. I'm a big Pac-12 fanboy. University of Washington is not necessarily my cup of tea. I just happen to live in Seattle, so I get a lot of their stories. And I respect them as a program, and I respect Coach Peterson as a coach, even though I have my own opinions on Coach Peterson. I'm not necessarily a huge fan, but like I said, I respect him. I'm not a huge fan of the University of Washington, but I respect them. And they've done everything, Chris Peterson, his entire career in University of Washington the last 3-4 years, to earn everybody's respect. And apparently ESPN doesn't think so. Quint, Kessnich, who I love, Mr. Lacrosse, was during the sideline, put cupcakes on the field to showcase University of Washington's non-conference schedule, pretty much saying they're a bunch of cupcakes and cream puffs, which I'm sure the likes of Fresno State, who's 500 in their 2 losses, are to top 10 teams, and Rutgers, who's a Big Ten team, really appreciated being called cupcakes, and then Montana, who's a pretty well-known powerhouse in the FCS. Now, obviously, this isn't the sexiest of, out-of-conference schedules. I'm not trying to say that. But what I am trying to say is just the fact that it was very disrespectful of how ESPN went about it, not only to the teams they've played, but to the University of Washington as a whole. Now, beside that, they also make comments of just about Chris Peterson in general. And my thought on this is going back to the Boise State days, which I'll try to find some articles on this, link them in the description below. Boise State is currently having the same issue with ESPN, where their fans are tired of these 7, 8, 9 o'clock Mountain Time kickoffs, just so that ESPN has something to throw on late night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I mean, Boise State, I believe, has only played 1 game on Saturday so far this year. Their games have been Thursdays and Friday nights on ESPN to boost ratings. One of which was against Washington State and was a great game. But then if you watch also Washington State's game a couple weeks ago on Friday night, the same kind of broadcast team, ESPN, literally when UCLA or USC took the ball, pretty much said Sam Darnold was going to go down the field and score, and we all know how that turned out, a strip sack fumble, and the Cougs ended up winning that game. It's just like ESPN for some reason is going to battle with the Washington schools because they're not supposed to be here. And it just showed up in every game I've watched, between the Boise State game, the UW game, it's the Wazoo USC game. It just seems like they can't deal with it. And Washington made the college football playoff last year. I know they got beat bad, but I think everyone can safely say that Alabama and Clemson were by far the top 2 teams last year, but I would definitely say that Washington deserved their spot. They went down to Atlanta, Georgia, to pretty much play in a hostile environment against arguably the best college football dynasty in the modern era, at least since the 2000s, in Alabama and Nick Saban. So they deserve a little bit of respect, and I think that Chris Petersen has his gripe here because, like I said, going back to his Boise State days is where it all started, where he just became the whipping boy for ESPN's agenda to throw some late-night TV on and push aside whatever's good for the team in college football, but get ratings and just be like, but you showcase your program nationally. Now, I think there's tons of benefits of people being able to watch your games. I just think it's like the Marcus Mariota Heisman conversation. No one's staying up late to watch. If they are tuned in, it's probably because they're just throwing it on while they go to bed. And I see why Chris Petersen has gripes with this, although, it's better than trying to fight with the cluster of like the 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. games that are just always a ton of competition on. So I get ESPN's comments on that. However, saying that Coach Peterson and the Huskies need to be appreciative of what ESPN is doing for them is ridiculous. What they're doing to them is putting them in time slots that totally benefit ESPN with like an 80-20 split of helping the University of Washington. How many of you actually, honestly, if you did, comment down below, watch the University of Washington versus Cal's game, or I believe Washington State, Oregon was also an ESPN game this week. How many of you actually tuned in and watched any Pac-12 After Dark games? And if you did, what games have they been? Because I know I do, but like I've previously stated, I'm a Pac-12 fanboy. I don't know if and I live on the West Coast, I don't know if a lot of people on the East Coast are actually tuning in and watching these games in their entirety. So I would love to know from you guys, everyday sports fans, down below, are you guys actually watching the Pac-12 After Dark? And if you are, what are your opinions on Chris Petersen's little scuff he's having with ESPN? Is ESPN totally right? Is Chris Petersen totally right? Or is there a blending spot in the middle where it is actually a very good mutual relationship that just has a couple hiccups here and there? Anyways, I want to thank you guys for tuning in this video. If you liked it, leave it a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, let me know down below why you didn't. Make sure you hit the red subscribe button so you get all our content for free, and you know right when it comes out if you hit the little bell next to it. Anyways, I really want to thank you guys for tuning in and look forward to more college football content. And we have the tip-off of the NBA and a bunch of other sports stuff happening very shortly on the channel. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.